Just before I call the next speaker, this is to advise the House that we have a split call. There'll be 2 5-minute calls. I recognise the Honourable Member Eugenie Sage. Tēnā koe, Ms Sage.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, and thank you. This government in its budget relies on National's pollution economy continuing to grow at the expense of our environment, at the expense of a fairer society and at the expense of a diverse and innovative economy. Mr Speaker, National's legacy over the last 6 years will be debt, mountains of debt, fiscal debt, economic debt, social debt and environmental debt. Because, Mr Speaker, when John Key became Prime Minister in 2008, government debt was $14 billion. Now it's $61 billion. That's $13,500 for every man, woman and child in the country, $10,000 more per person than when John Key took office. Certainly some of it is for the Christchurch rebuild, but a lot of it is to subsidise National's favoured industries, more irrigation, more oil exploration. And that debt means we have $1 billion in interest costs every year and $1 billion less to spend on education, housing, health and the environment. The legacy of the last 6 years will be 30% of New Zealand children living in poverty. The legacy will be 50% increase in our greenhouse gas emissions, New Zealand being shamefaced on the international stage because we have not done our share to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and avert a climate catastrophe. The legacy will be more pollution of our lakes, rivers and aquifers, and that's because National lacks ambition in relation to the environment except to exploit it. Because National's legacy is about subsidising environmental exploitation. It found $40 million more in this budget to subsidise irrigation, but not a single dollar more to increase the funding for the Department of Conservation to look after our treasured landscapes and threatened species. Mr Speaker, New Zealanders identify with our wild places. They identify with our natural landscapes. They're the basis of our 100% pure New Zealand brand, which allows us to sell our food and fibre and primary products overseas and which draws tourists to this country. But National's not investing in protecting the brand. It's not investing in protecting the environment, which is the basis of a healthy economy. What have we seen in water? National has set very unambitious standards. It wants New Zealanders to be able to go wading and boating on our rivers and lakes. The level of faecal coliform that's set in the National Policy Statement is to allow wading and boating. So the message to tourists is, welcome to New Zealand, go boating, but make sure you don't fall out of the boat because you risk getting sick. So, Mr Speaker, Green Party has a plan to clean up our rivers, to protect our aquifers and our lakes. We would have a much stronger regulatory framework under the RMA, a much stronger National Policy Statement, which reflected New Zealanders' aspirations and hopes to be able to swim in rivers and lakes. So we'd set a level for swimmable rivers. That would require more controls on land use and much more innovation, because regulation drives innovation. As we've found in Christchurch, where we've had innovation after a strong clean air plan to drive low-emission wood burners. Stronger regulatory standards to protect water would help shift the basis of our economy from producing more and more milk, more and more raw commodities like milk powder, into adding value to the milk that we produce. Because dairying has reached its limit in many catchments in New Zealand. We cannot continue to have dairying expand onto marginal soils where there's huge leaching of nitrate into rivers and aquifers. We must add value. And Mr Speaker, that's why we announced in the Green Party a major innovation package to transform the basis of our economy, to invest $1 billion in research and development over 3 years, to fund another 1,000 places in education, science, technology at our tertiary institutions. Because there is no limit to human creativity and innovation. We can add value. We can stop the free fall in manufacturing jobs. We can create more smart jobs and change the basis of our economy to one that is innovative and creative, not one that relies on exploiting nature and creating more pollution, as Nationals does. Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Julianne Genter. Tēnā koe, Ms Genter.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I love New Zealand.